Well, hello, everyone. This is Leslie Powers, and I am one of the organizers for the Freedom Under Natural Law Conference. And we're looking forward to Funnel 5 this February 21st and 22nd in 2026. It's an online conference free to everyone. And this is a kind of a creator snapshot before as we're leading up to the event, and really excited to be introducing to you one of our presenters, James Cordiner, a gentleman and a freedom warrior, someone that I truly respect and admire. And I know that you have a lot on your plate as a husband, father, supporter of your family, and a very active freedom researcher, anarchist, voluntarist. So yeah, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be involved with the event and in the capacity that I'm involved in it with, and so I'm really looking forward to it. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, so glad to have you. And I know that you're right up for the to be presenting something that will match our theme of ignite hearts and minds. Really, we're talking about this as an event that will spark truth, love, and freedom. And I know that I feel that you have a very heart-based approach. That you are really driven through care, and I admire that and appreciate that so much. So, please, yeah, tell our audience a little about what you've been working on before we start getting into the specifics of your presentation.
Okay, so Leslie introduced me. Yes, hi, I'm James Cordiner. I run Voluntarist Academy. You might know me from earlier work, such as A Hitchhiker's Guide to Truth or Black Pill Digest. Those are previous projects that I was involved with or involved in. And these days, I run Voluntarist Academy. With Voluntarist Academy is an educational platform dedicated to the principles of non-aggression, self-ownership, and the ethical philosophy of voluntarism. And the whole idea is that to teach people about how to reject the mythology of political authority and embrace the timeless truth that all interaction between humans should be grounded in consent and moral integrity. And so I've dedicated quite a long time to learning for myself and learning along the way as I'm trying to teach people about this subject, the history behind it. And it's really fascinating to me because what I've come to discover, and I'm not the first, I'm not breaking any ground here, but what I've enjoyed discovering for myself really is that the history of behind anarchism and voluntarism and the study of natural law, not only specifically in America, but since I am American, that's kind of my focus is in this country. It goes back a very long time. And I think that I honestly come away from these studies thinking that if these ideas were kind of like made popular 150 years ago, like when Lysander Spooner is writing books, going like the book No Treason, the Constitution of No Authority, or his essay on natural law. These documents date back 150 years, and then there's some that are even coming up to 200 years. And then Auburn Herbert is another one. He coins the term voluntarism in the early 20th century, and his posthumously published work called A Plea for Voluntarism, in which is the voluntarist creed. And that is like where we get this term from, the earliest known use of the term voluntarism. And I can't help but think and scratch my head over, what kind of world what kind of society would we be living in today if these ideas were kind of refined and polished back then? And it doesn't get me down. It makes me hopeful for the future that if we can take the time to learn about this stuff now, we can refine it now, we can polish it now, and we can make the future a better place. Because another kind of quote that I've been really just grooving on for some time now is attributed to this man named Hyacinth Voisin. I'm not too familiar with him, but I think he was like a French preacher, and he said something along the lines of, blessed are those who plant trees under whose shade they will never sit. And as a father, that inspires me to get on the ground and start doing some work on this, because the future will come. It doesn't scare me. and I'm not psyching myself out over it, and I'm not letting it get in the way of me having present moment awareness. But we work in the present for a reason, and that's so the future can be a better place. But for whom or whom? I don't know. My, but the point is that as a father, I see these children of mine growing up, and I want them to not live under the tyranny. I don't want them to live under somebody else's boot. And to the very least, can we just maintain the status quo? Like, can we just maintain what's going on now? But it seems that this global panopticon is coming, and what do? I don't know, but we won't get anywhere with these ideas of natural law and the philosophy of voluntarism if we stop speaking about it. So that's kind of what I do with my podcast. I try to teach people the history as a lot of it I'm learning myself, and I learn with the audience, and we learn together, and hopefully make something happen for the future.
I love that. I love that you're holding on to both the present moment and the vision and really choosing your present actions with that vision in mind and having children, at the heart, right? Which I think is where we all need to be thinking because children are really been put on the back burner, I think, in most of the big decisions of our world trajectory here. And so as we approach our funnel five, what is the topic that you have selected and where do you want to focus on that?
I'm glad you're asking this because I really want to go back to the fundamentals. I really want to kind of help people learn in a kind of a different light about the fundamentals of freedom. So my speech is titled Voluntarism and the Fundamentals of Freedom. And I'm hoping that it's received well, but the focus is to really help people get on the ground and move forward and understand that it doesn't cost a thing to be a voluntarist. It doesn't. It actually is very empowering, and it's very easy. The challenges are not within. The challenges are on the outside. It's the pressure of the society that we've been kind of forced to be in, and so the idea is just to help empower people to act because voluntarism is all about action, and so that's what we need to start doing. And to be a voluntarist, you're not hurting anybody.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
so that's the whole plan is to
Yeah.
try to help people learn the actions that they can start taking right now
Mhm.
to make tomorrow a little better.
Great, great. I love that you're bringing in the action steps. So, how would you quickly define or differentiate anarchy from voluntarism?
Okay. Something I've been toying around with is this idea that if we do, in fact, if government is slavery, which I believe that government is slavery, it seems as though that's true, because of their coercive tactics and keeping everybody in line and outcomes-based education systems run by the federal or funded by the federal government, all this stuff like government schools, everything that they've been doing, the propaganda, all of this stuff equates to slavery. Taxation is slavery, all of it, the media, everything that the government does equates to slavery. And if anarchism, which it does etymologically mean without rulers, then it's the opposite of government. Okay. And so, which means that it's a condition. And to live without rulers, you're living in a condition of freedom, absolute freedom. So that's what I equate anarchy with is absolute freedom in a condition type of way. But how do you get there? It takes action. I mean, an anarchist is uh, one who is like getting to the anarchy, right? Is the one who is bringing about the condition. But a voluntarist is it's been it's been more specific. To be a voluntarist is more specific because it's about the set of actions that you actually take, the consciousness that you actually have to have, and everything like that. Like anarchism is too ambiguous these days. There's too many people out there claiming anarchy, and they don't really know what they're doing. And there's all sorts of hyphen anarcho hyphens out there and to me, it just seems to make the term less ambiguous. We have to kind of dial it in and rebrand a little bit and make sure that when you say what you, if you're going to put a label on yourself as a philosopher or whatever, then it's pretty important to be direct and concise with that. So voluntarism is the set of actions. That's why the fundamentals is really important to focus on, because it's all about the actions.
So, how do you think that your work will inspire others to take those actions?
I think that my work, when my work helps people understand just how simple it is. It's
Mhm.
really simple. I mean, and to, you know,
Mhm.
it doesn't get much easier to be a voluntarist. Is extremely easy. Like I said before, like the pressure that you feel is from outside sources, from the conformists telling you that you're weird or that like that you're doing things strangely or whatever. But
Mhm.
it's
Mhm.
really just really simple to be a voluntarist.
Yeah. And I think part of your work is bringing these older writings that may be harder for people to read, or people are not reading, and then bringing those concepts into a simpler form as well, right?
Yeah, I mean that's the idea. Like the idea of doing the readings was like I drive a truck all day, and there's things that like that don't exist on books on tape. You know, like Auburn Herbert's work. It's not something you'll find as an audiobook. So I kind of decided one day I kind of just want to make that into an audiobook. And then I got into this groove of finding these different works, like Gustav Molinari's work, in his he proposed how to make the public defense um, kind of held accountable by a free market, and taking like things like police and things like that out of the hands of the government and making them accountable to the public in a real true sense. So sorry, that's my little baby. It's all good. So yeah, the idea is that when I'm going through these works, what I've gotten into the habit of doing is making little pit stops along the way and kind of catching up and putting things in my own words and trying to help gain a more modern day understanding of these classic works.
Yeah, I think that's really meaningful and powerful because people aren't reading books so much, and some of these books are hard to find and won't be read by people. And I think it's very important offering to the world to preserve them and to put them in forms that people may more likely listen to, and also to help interpret some of the old language as well. Yeah.
What strikes me as odd is that, and I really shouldn't think it odd, but I do, is how many people are just so unaware of the fact that there's like other options. And it kind of lends credence to the whole, what I've been calling intergenerational cultural conditioning, that the
Hmm.
public schools and the media are really, putting the public through
Yeah.
and making slaves as a result. So
Yeah.
if we can open up people's eyes and open up their minds and hearts to all the possibilities out there, then they can truly perform their natural human function of critical thinking and discovery, and really use their free will to combat the forces of coercion and deceit and make the
Yeah.
world a more beautiful place. And not only just for the future, but excuse me, not only just for the future, but I mean, we do, it's our birthright. Freedom is our birthright, and we are entitled to enjoy freedom while we're here.
Hmm.
Just there's a lot of work that needs to be done, and
Yeah.
somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to stand up and start saying no. And Leslie, you and I are friends, and we're friends with a bunch of other people that have stood up and started to say no. And I'm hoping that my work introduces people to better ideas and helps them gain the confidence and competence to stand up and say no to the boot
Yes.
that's treading.
Yeah. And I do agree with you that people are very limited in their perception of what's possible and see through the lens of left or right, blue or red, right? And so that is part of that mental programming that I think we are really attempting to shatter, to help people to see there's greens and yellows and purples and all sorts of alternatives to that which they've been programmed to see. And then I think also making it real to help people feel motivated to work towards it, right? To see a vision and then to understand why it's important to move towards it. So I guess the part one would be what does freedom mean to you? You know, what is this vision that is that you hold out as possible, right? And why is it so important? Why should people care so much to pursue that?
Well, freedom to me means that I get to use my free will free of coercion. Am I using the word free a little too much in my definition? I don't know. Can you define a thing with the same thing you're trying to define? I don't know. I think that's probably not very possible until you get the freedom, because everyone has this like inherent understanding of freedom. We know it when we're children. It's stripped away from us. Obedience is inculcated into us through thousands of hours of training. And I say that we deserve better. Okay. And so freedom is, I'm going to use my free will, free of coercion. And if you want my consent, you either need to, you're going to have to persuade me instead of engineer it. I don't want you to engineer my consent, because that means you're lying. That means you're maybe giving me ultimatums or whatever. Persuasion is a little bit of a better route to take on this topic. And now I'm getting away from the second part of your question, I think. I'm sorry.
Well, why is it so important? Why is it so worthwhile that people, you know, pursue that third option or other options than what they're given? You know, because it's easier, it's convenient to go along with what is, and you know, we're saying, wait a minute, you know, you're stepping into a trap where your freedoms are being more and more limited, where your ability to make free will choices is going down. Your energy is being used in ways that you're not even aware of, let alone consenting to. And what is it that people need to understand about the dangers of that and why it is important to pursue the alternative of freedom?
Well, I would say that the dangers of that is, imagine being placed in a room. Imagine imagine being placed in a room and being told that you're free so long as you stay in that room. But there's a window in that room and you can see better conditions outside and you know that they exist. This is my personal perspective. And this is what I want to help people wake up to, is that kind of, reality is that we're all living in that room and we can see outside to all the possibilities, but we're not allowed to go there. That to me just seems on its face wrong. And I don't like it. It hurts my soul. And I want out. I'm not a slave. I'm a prisoner banging on the bars, demanding to be let go. And I just need other people to realize that they are also sharing that condition of prisoner. We're not really slaves. We have to be tricked. Our consent has to be engineered in order to be placed in that condition.
Yeah.
But like I already said, our birthright, our inherent function as human beings is to be free. And it takes a lot of critical thought. It takes a lot of pushing of boundaries. It takes a lot of acceptance of those things. And it takes a lot of acceptance of those things coming out of other people. But I think that we also organize. We also have a tendency to self-organize, and people that we find our tribe is what I'm getting at with this little spiel. And we deserve to be able to do those things. So, yeah.
And our
Yeah.
children really
Yeah.
deserve the options to pursue their own creative potential and make choices from their own free will as well, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And as parents, it's our job to kind of help them learn how to operate with their free will. And, you know, it, it's such a tremendous responsibility. Um, and it takes a lot of work, but it's worth it.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely worth it. And I think leaving a legacy, you know, for our children and for, you know, others' children in the future, you know, through the works that you're doing, cataloging a very important works around freedom and how freedom really operates and why it's of value. And so I'm really looking forward to your presentation because I think fundamentals are always important. It's like with anything we do, whether we're dancing or we're doing a sport, the fundamentals always need to be held in our minds and practiced and reviewed, or we can get off track. So I think your presentation is going to be very, very important for this conference. Any last words, to help people get excited about your presentation coming up?
Well, last words. Well, thank you for this interview. Thank you for the spot to give a speech or a presentation, and thank you for everybody listening. I really hope that it reaches the ears that it's meant to reach. And I want to just remind everybody, like I do on my broadcasts, I just want to remind everybody that you own yourself, period. You're not a slave. And it might take a lot of responsibility, maybe more responsibility than you thought, but you own yourself. You got to own your actions. You own your body. You got to own your thoughts. You got to own your emotions. You got to own it. You got to own up to it and take responsibility. That's the first step. If you can do that for yourself, you're headed in the right direction. And I hope you enjoy my presentation because I'm doing it for you. I'm doing it for you guys.
Yeah.
Should I say what my website is or anything?
Yes. That was
Okay.
my next question. Just share where people can find your work.
Yeah, voluntaristacademy.com. And I'm on YouTube as Voluntarist Academy. But come over to the website, check it out. There's resources over there, PDFs and whatnot that you can download and ways to contact me. And I look forward to hearing from you guys and I look forward to giving my speech.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm excited for it. And we'll be putting this conversation up in the near future. And you can also find James' work on the onegreatworknetwork.com. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks again.
So, natural law is a set of universal, inherent, objective, non-man-made, eternal, and immutable conditions which govern the consequences of behavior of beings with the capacity for understanding the difference between harmful and non-harmful behavior.
FUNL 5, a free 2-day online conference.
Ignite hearts and minds.
The event that will spark truth, love, and freedom.
February 21st and 22nd, 2026.
For more information, visit freedomundernaturallaw.com.